Alright, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. Okay, all praise unto Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai, Wahab, Rakah, Kadash. Okay, double homage to the apostles, a great millstone. And honestly, brothers, we're pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So, back out here again, through the mercy of Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai, to push this word to the hopeful elect. And you have quite a few different things happening within the world right now, leading towards the downfall of the society and the setting up of the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is what the scripture says that the prophets of the Lord was going to do in the last days. They was going to prophesy against the kingdoms where they dwelt. Matter of fact, when you go into the scriptures in the book of, I believe it's Jeremiah, the 28th chapter and the 8th verse, it says the spirit of the prophets, or rather more, the prophets that was before me, okay, and before thee of old, okay, prophesied against many kingdoms, okay, and many different things. Oh, here we go. So this is the book of Jeremiah 28 and 8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied against many countries and against great kingdoms of war, of evil, and of pestilence. So when you read through the Bible, you find out that before the Lord does anything, you find out that he sends his prophets, which are the men at Great Millstone. And you got some few other guys out there that are teaching the same doctrine as you have here at the House of David, also known as Great Millstone, and they're teaching in sincerity, and they're teaching through they're teaching the entirety of the truth of the scriptures, and they're prophesying against great kingdoms, all right, which is this kingdom that we're living in right now, and they're prophesying of pestilences, they're prophesying of war, because these are the things that the Bible speaks about. When you read the scriptures, the Bible, you find out that everything is told before it happens. Okay, so you find out about things, whether it be of war. You find out that the Bible tells you that there was going to be 3 wars. Okay, 3 world wars: World War I, World War II, and World War III. In fact, the scripture says, "Woe, woe." Okay, or 2 wars is past, and they shall come another war shortly thereafter. So what you find out within the scriptures is that all of these things that was going to happen right now, okay, or have happened within the history, were prophesied, or they was said before it came to pass, before it was done, okay, years before it happened. For example, the rise and fall of Babylon. When you go into the scriptures and you're reading about the book of Isaiah, the 13th chapter, you find out that Isaiah was prophesying against Babylon, okay, 175 years before Babylon came on the scene, or rather 175 years before Babylon fell. And the same thing applies for the prophets that you have now that was going to come on the scene. Rather, that you wasn't going to have it to where Babylon, the modern day Babylon, which is America, was going to go on forever and ever, okay, another 100 years or 50 years, but rather they was going to come in the last days and they were going to speak against this kingdom, because this was the last empire, and they was going to speak as though they had been before. This is what the scripture is talking about. This is book again within the book of Jeremiah, the 28th chapter and the 8th verse. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied against many kingdoms and against many countries, against great kingdoms of war, of evil, and of pestilence. Okay, and an example that comes to mind, even when the Lord was on the scene, he did the same thing. Okay, this is within the book of Mark, the 13th chapter. Okay, so when the Lord was on the scene, he wasn't prophesying of peace. Matter of fact, when you go into the scriptures and you see how the Lord had thought about the whole scenario, he said, I haven't come to send peace upon the earth. I came to bring a sword. And what is a sword for? Okay, he said his sword was going to be bathed within Idumea. Okay, a sword was created for the express purpose of judgment. Okay, so he was going to bring a forth judgment upon a particular group of people. This is the same people that are right now being called the so-called white people. They're known as the House of Edom. Now we know through over time you're going to have seeds, okay, the seed of different nations spread throughout the 4 corners of the earth. For instance, the seed of the 12 tribes of Israel was going to be spread throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Predominantly, they was going to be known as the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. But you was going to have it to where they had mingled their seed amidst the Moabites. You was going to have it to where they had, which is the so-called Chinese. You was going to have it to where their seed was going to be amidst the Ammonites, which is the so-called Japanese, and so on and so forth. Okay, but predominantly the people that you call the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, they're of the tribe of Israel. And predominantly the people that you know as the so-called white people, they're of the tribe of Edom. And the Lord said there was going to be a great judgment that was going to befall them. And this is the job that the prophets of the Lord have been sent forth to do, to tell you of this judgment, okay? Because the scripture says if hand in hand go, if you have it to where the righteous, okay, or the people that are supposed to be righteous, the 12 tribes of Israel was going hand in hand, okay, with Esau, they was going to be destroyed when Esau comes. And we also know that the elect was going to be out here within these days, okay, calling themselves Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and they was going to wake up to the fact that they was going to be Israel, because you had it to where the prophets of the Lord was going to be out. Okay, and we're going to see all of these things within the scriptures. So starting first and foremost here within the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, okay, and this is Mark 13. And I'll start from the second verse. It's Mark 13:2. It says, and Yahushua answering him said unto him, seest thou these great buildings? They shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Okay, because he was prophesying against that great kingdom that was existing then. That was known as the Roman Empire. Okay, the Roman Empire stemmed from the Greeks. The Greeks stemmed from who? The Idumeans, the Edomites, so you can understand. So you had it to where the Edomites, they was ruling within Jerusalem. They was ruling the modern world right then. Okay, they was ruling in a diverse kingdom, diverse to the other kingdoms that existed before them. Going back onto the book of Daniel, okay, because they had set up what was known as really like a democracy. Before that, you had dictatorships. Okay, you had it to where you had certain kings would have express rule over the people that they was ruling over. Okay, you're thinking about the Medo-Persian. They had one king, and what that one king said went. But you had it now. You had a democracy, and you had it to where what the people. You had the voice of the people. You had the voice of the certain rulers that was out there within that kingdom. Okay, you had a republic. Okay, this is what was spoken about within the book of Daniel. Within the book of Daniel. Okay, so when now you go ahead to where that empire was on the scene, and the Lord was saying, look, they ain't gonna be left one stone that's gonna be left upon another, because the Lord was gonna throw all of that down. Because this was the beginning of that evil, the beginning of the spreading of sin. Really, the beginning of spreading of sin came about with the Greeks coming on the scene. Okay, so when the Greeks came and took over the known empire at the time after the Medo-Persians, they spread iniquity throughout the four corners of the earth. Because when you go back onto the nature of this man, which is what we're going to see after I go through the rising of the 12 tribes of Israel via Ezekiel the 36th chapter, Revelations the 11th chapter. After I touch on all of those scriptures, I'm going to go to the book of Thessalonians, and we're going to get into this man. Okay, because when he came on the scene, what had happened? You had it to where iniquity just went up in multifold. Okay, you had it to where all of the people upon the face of the earth started becoming one. But the idea of becoming one means naturally that the old ways that you had was going to be put back into the background. The same thing goes for the 12 tribes of Israel. All the old ways that we had was going back onto the scriptures. Okay, you had it to where you had the 12. You had it to where you had the 12 tribes of Israel. You had it to where you had a ruling family, if you will, which was the Jews. Okay, and you had it to where there was a family of distributors of the law, which was the Levites. Okay, and the Levites would distribute the law. Okay, and they was the masters of the law across the whole nation of Israel. You had a way. But when you had it to where the Greeks came along, they dismissed that way. Now, really, when you go into the history, you find out that when the two kingdoms were split, you had the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom. You had it to where the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom, the Latin-speaking tribes, who you know as the Seminole Indians today, the Hispanics. Okay, they had it to where the ruler that was over them, okay, an evil man, okay, basically dismissed the Levites, and he set up what was known as priestmen. Okay, and they was of the basis of our people, I believe the scripture says. Okay, basically they weren't supposed to be distributing the law. Okay, now over time that they had went over out there into the Americas, but the point I was making is that this really, when you had it to where the Greeks came after that during the Medo-Persian Empire, they had spread forth their evil upon the earth. Okay, and we're gonna see all of these things within the scriptures. Now, when the Lord came on the scene, as we're reading here within the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, just to keep things concise and in order. Okay, as we're reading here within the book of Mark, the 13th chapter, when the Lord was on the scene, he knew that this wicked rule was on the scene. So when they was asking him about the buildings of the temple and this, that, and the third, he said, this ain't nothing, man. Okay, when I was gonna come on the scene, when you was gonna have it to where the root of iniquity was gonna be removed upon off of the earth. Okay, they weren't gonna be left one stone left upon another, because everything, like we read within the book of Isaiah the 24th chapter, the whole world was gonna be defiled right now. Okay, matter of fact, I'm gonna get that right quick. Okay, the book of Isaiah, the 24th chapter, Isaiah 24. Okay, Isaiah 24:5, it says, the earth also is defiled underneath the inhabitants thereof. And that's why you got it to where you got chemtrails within the air. That's why you got it to where you got fish out there dying out in masses. Because why? Because some dude wanted to make a massive profit off of selling oil. So they had an oil spill out there within the ocean. Okay, and this is supposed to be some civilized, some kind of civilized society. Ain't nothing civilized about this society. Okay, just because you got cars and a mobile phone within your pocket, supposedly this is supposed to be some kind of civilized society. Ain't nothing civilized about this society. Okay, when the Babylonians ruled, you didn't have it to where you had chemtrails and cancer rates at an all-time high. Okay, when the Medo-Persians ruled, and they all ruled in moderate wickedness. Okay, they all had their witchcraft that they was doing. They all came up against the 12 tribes of Israel, but never has there been a time, okay, when you had it to where just completely the whole earth is defiled underneath the rulers that be. That's why when the Lord comes back, he was going to restructure the very elements that we're breathing in, the very essence of life. He was going to bring it back onto what the scripture was talking about. Okay, peace. And peace is only when you got it to where the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the 12 tribes of Israel was going to be ruling up on the earth. That's when you was going to have peace established. Not when the man of sin was in rulership. The scripture says within the book of Revelations, okay, it says that what? It says that unto this man was given a unto this man was given a sword that he should take peace from the earth. So how was you going to establish peace when you got to where Esau, okay, the red man, okay, who you know the Illuminati, the Rothschild, the elite banking families, okay? How are you going to have it to where the peace was going to be established within the earth when the Lord himself gave it unto him to take peace from the earth? His nature, his very essence is to take peace from the earth. His agenda, okay, his MO is to take peace from the earth. So you wasn't going to have it to where peace was going to be established right up until the Lord comes back, and through war, okay, which is how you establish the kingdom, through war, through the fighting against the so-called white man, the Lord was going to revert everything back onto its natural order. Okay, that's when peace and harmony was going to be established, man. Okay, so Isaiah the 24th chapter 25th verse says, the earth also is defiled underneath the inhabitants thereof, because they have changed laws, okay, and changed ordinances and broken the everlasting covenants. So all the order upon the face of the earth has been changed. That's why when the Lord said that when the Lord was on the scene, he said this. He said, and Yahweh answering them, said unto them, seest thou these great buildings? They shall not be left one stone that's going to be left upon another. So all of these buildings that you see around you, the Most High ain't going to have it to where, okay, we're going to preserve this building and that's just going to be all right. Or we're going to preserve that building and that's going to be... No, when the Lord comes back, okay, which is what they don't tell you within these so-called Christian churches, when the Lord comes back, he's going to completely do away with this society, man. Okay, he's going to completely do away with what you know as reality. And he's going to reestablish, okay, the throne of David, okay, with him being the head guy and King David underneath him, okay, and you're just going to have pure righteousness, harmony with the earth, okay, just beautiful things going to happen. But in order to get to that point, there's going to be certain things that need to happen. For instance, war, famine, pestilence. And that's what is being spoken about within the scriptures. And that goes back onto the scripture I pulled out first, which was Jeremiah the 28th chapter and the 8th verse, wherewith it is said, okay, before I came on the scene, before my teachers came on the scene, before my elders came on the scene, there was great men prophesying, and they spoke about the same things that we're speaking about today. Pestilence, war, okay, famines, okay, in diverse places, and those was going to be the mechanisms of establishing a new throne. Now, prior to us, you had it to where different kingdoms were established, okay, through famine, pestilences, but they were all wicked kingdoms. Because you had it to where you had to have it to where what? You had to have it to where these different nations had to rule, because the Most High had put it forth within the algorithm that the Medo-Persians going to rule after the Assyrians, and the Assyrians was going to rule after the Babylonians, okay, and the Greeks was going to rule after the Medo-Persians. That was put in the algorithm so that you was going to have a full spectrum of wickedness, okay, and then that's when you was going to have it to where righteousness was going to be established with the 12 tribes of Israel ruling in righteousness, okay? So Mark 13, and 4, it says, and tell us when these things shall be, and what shall be the signs, okay, for when all of these things shall be fulfilled. And Yahushua answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. Okay, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. And when you shall hear rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. So right now we're in a time of rumors of wars. Okay, we're in a time of the rumors of wars between Russia and America coming up against each other, and that's going to be the end all be all. Okay, because when you go into the scripture speaks about Russia in a metaphorical sense. Okay, it speaks about Russia coming up against America. Okay, you go to the book of Isaiah, the 13th chapter, and you find out how that whole thing played out within the history. You find out that whole prophecy. Okay, when you go into what was fulfilled and how these different scholars read this, and really when you're talking about these different scholars, really we're the top scholars, but everybody comes to the same conclusion that Isaiah the 13th chapter, yes, it was talking about the ancient Medo-Persian, ancient Babylonian empire being overthrown by the Persians and the Medes. But we all come to the same conclusion that what? That this is talking about a different Babylon. Because when you read into the scriptures, you find out you had Babylon and you had the door of Babylon. Okay, which was who? Which was the Edomites. That's within the book of Psalms. Was it Psalms 119, something like that? Okay, or door of Edom who are to be destroyed, or door of Babylon, something like that. Okay, so you find out the door of Babylon was the Edomites, and they was going to establish their new kingdom, which was going to be known as what? As Babylon, because it was going to be after the same fashion as the Babylon that went before, which was all nothing but confusion. Okay, but now they've taken confusion and they've just gone crazy with it. That's why you got so much disorder within the earth, because this is the people of disorder. This is the people that the Mosai said there was no profane, there wasn't no one more profane than them. And what does the word profane mean? It means out of the temple. What's within the temple? Order. Okay, spirituality. There ain't nothing spiritual or orderly about this man. That's why he's spilling oil out there within the Atlantic Ocean, okay, and causing all kind of havoc and disaster within the earth. Okay, putting depleted uranium in barrels underneath the ocean, and that's supposed to be some kind of waste management from an advanced mind. There's nothing advanced about this person. You're right there, sweetheart. You okay, yeah? Okay. All right, there's nothing advanced about this man. He's unadvanced. Okay, that's why the scripture said there was no man more profane than him. I can see you in the camera. Okay, you've had your moment to shine. You've had your moment to shine. Do you mind?
I've shined enough.
Okay, good stuff, man. Okay, that's why the scripture says there was no man more profane than Esau. Okay, because for one morsel of meat, he sold his whole birthright. And what was the birthright that he was going that went to really that birthright was really intended to go on to Jacob. Okay, that birthright was intended to go on to Jacob when you read about the scriptures in a spiritual sense. But when you go into it in a carnal sense, you find out that Jacob had supplanted Esau for the birthright, and the birthright was rulership over the earth. So now that they was blessed with the sword, they did what? They had it to where using the sword, okay, which is what you know as machine guns, what you know as ICBM nuclear missiles. Via that, they have tried to obtain the fatness of the earth, okay, via the sword, okay. And they've tried to control every facet of life via the sword. But see, this is what the Mosai was going to give unto the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, within a spiritual sense. Because we're going to control all of these different facets of life, but we're going to do it spiritually and righteously. This man does that within wickedness, because everything that you see out here being played out, disorder, fornication, all of that, all goes back onto that one story within the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, dealing with birthright, okay? That's why you had it to a film like Black Panther could sell, because that whole old story about race differences or race riots or race indifferences, okay, black against white, so you can understand sells, because it all goes back onto the scriptures. Okay, when you add it to where the colonizer comes and he wants to colonize your people, okay, and you're living via traditional rules, okay, that goes back onto the scriptures. Because after we had ruled and we had did wickedness, the Mosai said a dreadful nation was going to come up against us, and he was going to have it to where we was going to be serving hardcore captivity underneath him until we turned back onto Yahweh Shimi Al-Shai, and he was going to deliver us, and he was going to set us up, and then peace was going to be established within the earth. And we're going to read about that within the scriptures after I hit this one right quick. So this is Isaiah 13, and 5, it says, Yahushua answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. And you got all kind of deceptions out here. The scripture talks about how this is the most darkest, okay? And really, even in the physical sense, this is a dark society, okay? When you read the scriptures within the book of Isaiah, it says, behold, gross darkness shall cover the earth. That's what the scripture says. But you're reading that in a spiritual sense, and you're thinking about, oh, this is the most immoral kind of place to live in. But really, even on the physical sense, it's a dark place. You got all kind of pollution going up within the earth. Earth ain't supposed to be so grim like this. It's supposed to be a paradise. Okay, but because you got into where the man of sin is in rulership, you got into where you're just living a grim, dark life, both physically and spiritually. Now, speaking on the spiritual side of things, what do you see when you switch on your TV? You see adultery, covetousness. Okay, they've made the whole way. They've made the idea of covetousness a lifestyle. That's why you got gangbang rap out there. Okay, talking about I'm gonna get what you have. I'm gonna steal it from you. And that's seen as a cultural phenomenon. Okay, that's seen as that's uplifted as a culture. Okay, because this is a man of sin in rulership, and he's brought forth every kind of iniquity, and he's uplifted it. Whether it be iniquity within the bedroom, whether it be iniquity within the food you eat. Okay, every meal that you have, it has to have a slice of pork within it. And when you read the scriptures, what did the scripture say about eating swine? It says the swine is defiled. You ain't supposed to be eating it. Okay, so it says there back within the book of Mark, Mark 13 chapter, it says okay, so those are the deceptions that they push forth out there. Okay, right, they have it to where the people believe out here that going via the ways that they've gone is going to bring about happiness and joy within the earth. Okay, it says, Yahushua then began to say, okay, take heed lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. Hence, that's why you have the image of Cesar Bose. People actually believe that's the Lord, and that's how the Lord was supposed to look like. But that all goes back onto when you check out what the Greeks did, okay, out there within Egypt. What did they do? They had gone up into Egypt. They took over the existing Uru because it was their time to rule. Okay, the Greeks went out there into Egypt because it was their time to rule. They took down the existing Egyptians, and they set themselves up as pharaohs. They set themselves up as God. That's where you get Serapis Christus. And they did the same thing. They reinvented the same thing when they came back this time. Okay, they came into power. They took down the existing power, and they gave you Caesar Borgia. So that you thinking you're worshiping your old gods, but you're really worshiping him, because when you go into the scriptures within the book of Obadiah, it tells you this man's got a God complex. Okay, he wants to be the Most High, and that's what makes this man more profane than any other entity that's